That's an interesting question, and it's right. You're right that that it kind of found me rather than me finding it. So I started my PhD in 2011, but I couldn't find a topic. I couldn't settle on a topic. I thought I would have one, but then sometimes I had too many questions. Sometimes I had not enough questions about that topic, and I could never really get my teeth into anything. Nothing that I really wanted to write about for 4 years.
Hello and welcome to Obehi Podcast. I'm your host, Obehi Ewafo, and I strongly believe that everyone has a story to share. Now let's get started into this episode.
And then in 2014, my supervisor was involved in a very big funded project to evaluate a child sexual abuse prevention program in schools. So it was a big randomized control trial that was being conducted in Gold Coast schools here where I live, where we were seeing whether or not a child sexual abuse prevention program given to kids in years 1 and 2 was effective in helping them learn about sexual abuse. So that was the project that I was going to be working on. And initially I thought, it's not really what I wanted to do, not really what I had in mind, but I said, yes, I would work on it, especially because it was funded. So I was able to get a scholarship on that. So that was tempting. And then I started reading about the topic because I actually didn't know anything about sexual abuse prevention programs. And I started reading, and as I was reading the research and becoming familiar with the area, I started to think, well, the research led me to a place where I felt that possibly using child-targeted education in this way wasn't the best way forward, wasn't the best use of resources, and that there were better ways of doing this, better ways of trying to solve this problem other than teaching children how to protect themselves. So that's how I came to my particular project now, because when I decided this and started writing about this, I then moved away from the evaluation program and went on this whole journey, which has ended where I am now in developing this current program that I'm doing at the moment. So yeah, parted ways with the evaluation and developed my own project from there.
So you said teaching children about prevention. Can you speak more about that? How do you even go about that?
Well, so it's an interesting history that child education has in this to prevent child abuse. So child sexual abuse came to recognition in the 70s. And at the time, there were some high-profile cases, and there was quite a panic, quite a public outcry. People were demanding that something be done about this problem. However, there was no evidence or theory to go on. No one really knew what to do. No one knew what to do. No one knew what the best way forward was. There was no theories to use, and there was no evidence. We didn't know who it happened to, in what circumstances, in what situation, what people were doing. We just didn't know enough about it. And so it was thought that it would be good to take the ideas of the women's anti-rape movement at the time. So women at the time were being taught self-defense techniques. So rather than working against rape happening, the idea was that we were teaching women how to physically defend themselves against rapists, to stop rape happening through physical force. And so it was thought that one might be a good thing to do with kids as well. So if we teach kids self-defense strategies, then they'll be able to ward off their attackers. They'll be able to ward off any sexual advances, sexual victimization. So that's the history of the programs. And now we have a wide array of programs, and they're, either implemented by teachers or professionals, charities who do this. They come to the school and give kids these programs. So there's a lot of different programs, but basically the main aim is to teach children how to recognize, how to identify that something abusive is happening, and then how to resist that or avoid that from happening, and then how to report it, how to disclose what's happened to them. So that's kind of the basis of most programs. teaching children how to do those things. And now it's always been the main method of prevention that we've used. So in recent years, there has been a little bit more focus on perpetrators and potential perpetrators. So trying to work with people who have inappropriate thoughts and feelings. However, that is quite a new thing. And usually perpetrators have been quite neglected in prevention. We do have programs for once an offender has been caught and they've been sent to prison, and then there's, kind of like prisoner programs or kind of programs in prison. But this trying to prevent it before it occurs, that's quite a new thing of perpetrators. So child education has been the main focus since the 1970s. That's the main way we've been trying to prevent sexual abuse up to this point.
If you enjoy this podcast, make sure you subscribe so you never miss any of our future episodes. Rate and review Obehi Podcast and share with your friends who might need it. I remain Obehi Ewanfo. Thank you so much for listening, and talk to you in the next episode.